Is the dream dead, Bears fans? That is the topic on today's show. Is Trey Hendrickson small chance of getting traded from the Bengals to the Bears? Is it officially over? We'll discuss here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Slick Rick Scoops, a.k.a. Ricky, formerly known as Pretty Ricky, a.k.a. the People's Insider, tweeted this today. Says, 2 weeks ago, I learned the Bengals and Trey were still far apart. The Bengals gave him a deadline in the spring to find a trade, but the team didn't like the offers. That deadline has passed, and I doubt he'll be moved, so maybe leaving small chance there. He will be extended, no idea when. Very helpful tweet, #WhoDay. And you guys might look at this and say, who the hell is Ricky? Ricky sucks, this and that. This guy's been right a lot this offseason. He emerged into the scene last offseason, had some hits, had some misses. This offseason, he's hitting at a pretty high clip. He was ahead of the Ramsey trade before anyone else. He was all over Rodgers to Pittsburgh early on. There's been several others he's been in. I think he had DK to Pittsburgh as well. It's close to like 8 or 10 scoops at this point that he's been right on. So doesn't mean he's for sure going to be right here. He did say, I doubt he'll be moved, so he's leaving some room for chance there. But I would be, I guess, surprised at this point based on this scoop from Rookie. And it does make me wonder, what were the trade offers? My guess is that Cincinnati wanted a first-round pick. And I thought that all along, that the Bengals want a first-round pick. But I don't think they're getting it. And they certainly didn't get that offer before the draft, which is probably really when they would have liked to move him if they were going to trade him. And so now they find themselves in this pickle of, well, we'll just keep him then. It's like, well, I don't think it's that simple either. And that does make me wonder how this plays out moving forward. More on that in a second. But Jeremy Fowler did have a little bit of an update over the weekend. He said, the Bengals have resumed talks with Trey in recent weeks. That is a good sign. It has not led to a deal as of yet, but Cincinnati's plan all along has been to extend their top 3 stars. They've already done Chase and Higgins, obviously. They know they need this guy. He was carrying that defense at times last year. He wants long-term security. This is not a year-to-year proposition for him. He feels like he's earned a big-time money on a multi-year extension. We'll see if they can find middle ground. If not, he is dug in and is prepared to miss time. And that last part of it, and if you've listened to Hendrickson talk this offseason, obviously this update, the new part of it is that they have resumed some kind of communication, so maybe that's a positive sign. But Hendrickson is pretty pissed. I mean, he showed up to minicamp just so he could talk to the media and was basically said there's been no communication. Last offseason they said this offseason they would pay me. They won't do it. And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty upset about it, and basically confirmed his trade request from earlier this spring. And so now the Bengals, per Ricky, could sit there and say, well, you missed the window, Trey, of when we would have traded you because we didn't get the offers we liked. You'll just be a Bengal. Does that mean he's just going to show up, though? I don't think so. I don't. Maybe he sacrifices a little of what he's hoping to get on an extension. But if he wants a 2 or 3 year extension with guaranteed money on at least multiple years at, 33 to 35, I don't think he's all of a sudden going to settle for 25. Like, you look at the highest paid guys out there, there is no reason for him to take less than $30 million per year and really 60, 70, 80, close to $100 million guaranteed. Like, there's not really a gap between him and the top. Certainly Myles Garrett's better, and TJ Watt, who's about to get paid, is better. But we're not talking about those guys. Those guys make $40 million per year. Danielle Hunter and Trey Hendrickson, I've said all along, they're very similar. Now, Hunter signed a 1-year extension for $35.6 million. Okay, you're probably not going to get that guaranteed on a 2 or 3, but could you get 30 to 33 on a 2 or 3 year extension? I think teams out there would certainly do that. Will the Bengals? I think that's what it's going to take for them to keep him. I know this is a Bears show, obviously, but I've said all along, I would give him 3 for 100 with 80 of it guaranteed. I'd be comfortable doing that because if you get 2 out of 3 really good years out of it, plus with all the contracts you've given out this offseason, you're kind of on this 3-year window contractually wise to build a team around Caleb Williams, a quarterback on his rookie contract window. I would take that gamble. I would take that swing. But It doesn't sound like Cincinnati wants to do that. I don't even know, to be honest, if the Bears were in on Trey Hendrickson, if they are in on Trey Hendrickson. I just know personally, like, to a certain extent, if the trade wasn't outrageous, I would have done it. Now, I wouldn't have given up a first-round pick and given him $33-35 million per year on a 2, 3, 4-year extension, but I would have given up a day 2 pick and potentially a day 3 pick and given him 3 for $100, like I said. Now, what do you guys think the Bengals end up doing? Type T for trade or P for pay when it comes to Trey Hendrickson? Because, again, he's not playing out $16 million this year. Like, he'd be stupid to. The market has exploded. He should make double that. So I don't think he'll do that. Now, it does feel like any Bears hope is gone. The only scenario that could play out is if he holds out all through the preseason, him and the Bengals don't come to a deal. Like, could they ship him out like in the middle of the season between like weeks 2 and the trade deadline? Kind of like, it felt like that was where it was heading with Hassan Reddick last year, but he ultimately showed up for the Jets. I don't think Hendrickson shows up without a new deal. That's my gut feeling, but I do feel like the Bears angle in this and their ability to go get him, unless a new report and new information drops, I don't really feel the need to explore this anymore. This will probably be the last time we talk about him on this show, unless we get asked about it in a mailbag, because unless there's new information, I don't think it's that realistic at this point. They don't want to trade him. They don't want to pay him either, so we'll see what happens. But the Bears angle is unlikely, and it's been unfortunate because I think he could elevate this defensive line and this edge group substantially. I really do. I think he'd be your top edge. Montez Sweat could slide back to being a number 2 guy, which I think is really an ideal role for him. Number 2, not only edge, but just defensive lineman. You'd have a dominant edge pairing, a good rotation of guys on the interior of that defensive line. And my concern with this Bears edge group, I think you're fine at defensive tackle. You got 4, 5, 6 guys you can rotate in there. Unless Montez Sweat gets back to 2023 form, which was his best season. The first half of the year with Washington, second half of the year with the Bears, that was his best season by far, especially as a pass rusher. This group lacks both a dominant force and depth. Like, it's one thing, like, at least like, the Raiders are a good example. They don't have great depth at edge, but they have Max Crosby, right, who plays a ton of the snaps. The Bears have Montez Sweat, who's a good player but not great, but they don't have depth. Like, who's their third edge? Austin Booker? Dominique Robinson? That's pretty concerning. Like, that, it's just not that good. And by the way, your second guy was a guy you probably had to overpay for in free agency, in Dayo Odeyingbo, who, by all accounts, is going to rotate inside on certain downs. So you've got a real problem, and in my opinion, at edge. And I know it's a subject we've talked about a lot, but as we get close to training camp, it's like, who's going to step up? Do you have that guy on the roster? Are you going to go get somebody? We'll explore some options in a sec, but as of now, I think it's the biggest issue on this roster is the defensive end position. Take advantage of this awesome deal. It's a short sleeve hoodie for just $33. Chatsports.com/Bears hoodie. All sizes are available. Link is in the comments and description. This bad boy was $55. Now it's $33. You're not going to want to miss out. Take advantage today. Chatsports.com/Bears hoodie. Again, the usual suspects are still out there. These guys have all been out there for months. Za'Darius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Matt Judon, Von Miller, Preston Smith. Now, you can ask yourself, why are these guys still available? Well, it could be a variety of reasons. A, they're on the older end. Even the younger guys in this group are still in their early 30s. Clowney, he's got some knee issues. He probably can't play a heavy workload anymore, but I've said all along as a third edge, I like him. Za'Darius Smith, I think could still be a second edge, but if he's your third guy, I think you feel great about that. Matt Judon, not a great year last year. We know the Bears tried to trade for him, but cheap contract, third edge. Same with Von Miller as a rotation guy. I'm in. Preston Smith, I'm not as high on, but he's played a lot in the NFC North. He knows how to play. I think these guys, while they don't raise the ceiling probably of your edge group, it raises the floor. And like I said, you can't lack a dominant player and depth if you want to have a serious edge group, right? Like right now, I just don't think you have that serious of a group unless Montez Sweat just dominates, and we'll get to him in a little bit more, but historically, he hasn't been a year-in, year-out dominant player. Now, obviously, you got the big swings if you really want to raise the ceiling, right? Obviously, Trey Hendrickson, who it sounds like that's not going to happen. I really don't think TJ Watt or Micah Parsons would happen either. But those are just big names out there that want new contracts. And, in theory, until they lock those in, could there be a scenario where they're available? Again, probably not, but a tiny chance. You never know what could happen in the NFL. Certainly guys that would bring that dominant force to this edge group and to this defensive line. And that gets us back to Montez Sweat. Can he dominate? Because if you're not going to make a move at edge, and again, you don't have to do it today. They signed Yannick Ngakoue in August a couple of years ago. They could still add, and it could be fine. But if they roll out this current group, to me, your best chance of feeling good about your edge group is Montez Sweat dominating. Well, you look at the past 2 years. Obviously, last year was a disappointment. In 2023, I thought for good chunks he dominated. Now, was he Trey Hendrickson? Was he Micah Parsons? Was he Myles Garrett? No, but I thought he was one of the better pass rushers in the NFL that year, and he's always been a really good run defender. But I think there's a little bit of a misconception about Montez Sweat because when the Bears traded for him, paid him, and he played so well, we're like, oh my God, we got this dominant presence coming off the edge. You look by year, the data doesn't support that. And I'm not just even talking about raw sacks that you see on screen here year by year, although I do think that tells a story. But I think you watch him play, and I think last year illuminated this, even though admittedly it was a down year and he played through injury, is like he kind of comes and goes, especially as a pass rusher. Montez Sweat, at his best, is an elite run defender and a good but not great pass rusher. He's kind of like a better Clowney in Clowney's peak. Clowney, tremendous run defender, streaky pass rusher. Montez Sweat is very similar, although I think he's better, more athletic, more bendy, a little more long, bendy than Pete Clowney as well. But that's a good player. If he gets back to being closer to 23 than 24, I'm not having buyer's remorse necessarily, but this isn't a guy to carry a defensive line. Like ideally on a good D line, he's like your second guy. And you're asking him to be your first guy, and I think you end up with results where you're underwhelmed as a front four. Now, can the volume of interior guys that are here now with Jarrett, Dexter, Billings, Shamar, Turner, can you kind of go with the volume approach? I would say yes, but your volume at edge isn't there. That's why if you go get a Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney, I feel better, even if that one move in a vacuum isn't season altering. It does just have that domino effect of like, okay, Montez Sweat, Dayo Odeyingbo, Zadarius Smith. Okay, can one of Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson, Daniel Hardy at least be serviceable? Yeah, like I think as your fourth guy, you can live with that. But as your two primary backups out of those three guys, that's a concern to me. Ryan Poles talked about the wave of pass rushers. I think you got a wave of interior guys. I don't think you have a wave of guys coming off the edge at this point. So I do think you at least need to add a depth piece, like somewhere. And I think they will. I still think they will. Every year they seem to make a signing or a small trade during training camp before the season. But I do think it's something they're going to need to address. Clearly, the Trey Hendrickson ship has probably sailed. That dream is likely dead, but that doesn't mean they can't make another move. Who should the Bears add at the edge position? What say you down in the comment section below? Like, to me, I would bring in Smith and Clowney for a visit, get to know them, work them out, and just pick whoever you like better. Like, just what they bring to the table. They've been in this league for a while. They know how to play. They can help. Get one of those guys signed up, and let's call it. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to today's show. We will be back tomorrow. Got an episode already filmed, a player that Bears fans are sleeping on, including myself. That'll go out tomorrow. More content to come as well. So until then, bear down.